A warm welcome to TV Africa News and thank you for always joining us. This is Africa Today. My name is Najuma Luima, but first are the headlines. Government flags off anti-malaria drugs to Kakumilo district. Senyonyi accuses Among of trying to turn Kosase members against him. Tanzanian opposition party holds a rally after Magufuli's ban was lifted. Uganda exceeds Chan after 3-1 loss to Ivory Coast. Welcome once again. Now the news in detail. The government, through the Ministry of Health, has flagged off anti-malaria drugs worth 18 million shillings to Kakumilo district in the fight against malaria. The drugs were donated by Fason Pharmaceutical Company Limited, Astra Pharma Limited, among others. Nalugo reports.
While receiving the donations on behalf of the Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Health, the Commissioner on National Disease Control, Dr. Patrick Tusime, said malaria is considered among the deadly diseases currently in Uganda, as 400 people succumb to it every month. He said malaria prevention starts right from homesteads, hence urging Ugandans to clear bushes and empty tins around their houses and also ensure sleeping under mosquito nets.
We always say prevention is better than cure. So regarding malaria at home level, we want each person, including you people, members of the press here, in your homes, as you pass on the message to our people, prevention starts with you as an individual. Government of Uganda has made efforts to support the people by giving them nets, but are these nets being used? The mosquito nets, are they being used? We want to call on people to clean their home environment. Make sure that mosquitoes don't breed from there. Remove containers where little water can collect.
He warned health practitioners and officials in the Ministry of Health against using these drugs for their own benefits and urged them to ensure that the medicines reach the targeted people.
We want to make sure that these medicines don't reach Kakumiro, and again we find them in the drug shops being sold. We have people who want to steal medicines of government. So the Permanent Secretary is directing us that at the end of the camp, we must provide full accountability of this donation.
He said the fight against malaria will traverse the entire country, but putting emphasis on the most affected districts like Kakumiro, Busoga, Bugishu, Karamoja, Acholi regions, among others. Last week, the Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Dr. Diana Twine confirmed that Uganda is currently battling a severe malaria epidemic whose prevalence had been reduced from 49% to 9% in 2019.
Nakawa, West Member of Parliament Joel Senyonyi, has accused Speaker Anita Among of encouraging some of his committee members to start a seizure motion against him over the allegation of indiscipline. We have more. Senyonyi, who is also the chairperson of Committee on State Authorities and State Enterprises, COSASE, claimed that during the Uganda Airlines inquiry, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, wrote to him, guiding him to lock the media out during the inquiries. While the audit process was integral in streamlining operations of the public entities, Among said there was need for a careful balance between accountability and business continuity. Senyonyi said he wrote back to the Speaker expressing his discomfort because there was nothing too sensitive to keep away from the public, adding that other entities were also investigated publicly. Senyonyi accused Parliament for failure to debate the reports his committee had so far handled, particularly the controversial Uganda Airlines report. He accused the Speaker of playing delaying tactics by not considering the report over unclear reasons. Senyonyi also queried the motive of the Speaker to meet with some of the airline's officials, especially its Chief Executive Officer, Jennifer Bamturachi, who he said had been pinned by the findings of his probe. More than 1,700 medical interns across the country have vowed to lay down their tools next month, suppose their allowances are not paid this month. This comes at a time after the interns claimed they have not received their allowances for 3 months. Ahumuza with more.
Speaking to journalists in Kampala, Dr. Leonard Mutebi, the head of medical interns in Uganda, revealed that Health Ministry keeps promising them that allowances will come, and hence the only option is laying down tools. Medical interns, who include doctors, pharmacists and nurses, said they are the engines of public health facilities, thus need to be remembered for the services rendered. Dr. Edwin Chigozi, the head of medical nurses, said that medical interns can hardly feed and transport themselves to and from the health facilities. Chigozi added that they need the allowances because the internship is a full-time engagement and some of them are family breadwinners. However, Dr. Musa Mulumba, the president of the Federation for Uganda Medical Interns, said that the Minister of Health Permanent Secretary Dr. Diana Trina revealed that the allowances were to be paid last Thursday.
Let's take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV African News, the right to know. Tanzania's opposition Chadema party held its first mass rally since a ban imposed by former President John Pombe Magufuli was lifted. The 2016 ban was removed by current President Samia Suluhu Hassan, raising hopes of greater political freedom, and party workers are keen to make the most of the opportunity.
Tanzania's first woman as president reached out to rivals, reopened banned media outlets, and reversed some of Magufuli's most controversial policies. The rally marked the 30th anniversary of the party's political registration. Acting chairperson for Chadema's women's wing, Sherifa Suleiman, said that they'll organize as many rallies as possible to reach all wards and villages in the country. Speaking to crowds, Freeman Mbowe, Chadema's chairman, added that despite thanking the president for lifting the ban, their country needs a new constitution which will be achieved after reconciling with the ruling party. Supporters are cautiously welcoming recent developments as a move towards greater democracy in Tanzania. President Hassan has been in power for 22 months and is hoping to break away with some of Magufuli's hardline policies.
Moving on, people in Burkina Faso have broadly welcomed plans by the military government to oust French troops within a month. The state broadcaster announced the move on 21st January, saying the decision had been made to end the presence of France's military on Burkinabe soil. It follows mass protests in the capital Ouagadougou demanding the French exit. A student by the names of Anicite Odrago said that it's a very nice initiative and would even say that they were late, adding that at present they need frank partners who can really work with Burkina Faso. More than 60 years after Burkina Faso's independence, France has maintained a strong economic and humanitarian aid ties with its former colony, but many have lost patience with France. Away from that, thousands of Zulu men gathered at the historic site of Isandwana on Saturday, 21st January, to mark the day in 1879 when Zulus won a decisive victory over the British. The event was also addressed by King Misuzulu Kazwelithini. We have more on this report.
The event is one of the greatest triumphs in Zulu history and the only battle in which spears and ox-hide shields annihilated the guns and cannons of the British Army. Zulu warrior Mozi Nyandeni said that they were celebrating the conquering of the white person by the Zulu warriors. The Zulus were not professional soldiers, but under Shaka Zulu in the early 1800s had become very adept at war. During the reenactment, many Zulus sang songs and paraded with traditional animal skins, bone necklaces and spears. On 21st January 1879, around 20,000 Zulu warriors attacked the British garrison. Despite the defenders having rifles, the attackers forced them into a bloody battle and then defeated the colonial soldiers. Out of the 1,700 men at the island Luala garrison, on the morning of the battle about 1,300 Dom lay dead. Victory is one of the most important sources of the pride for Zulus.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres arrived in Cabo Verde for the Ocean Race Summit on Sunday. He also plans to observe some of the solutions being considered to help protect the 10-island archipelago off the coast of Africa. Speaking to journalists, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that Cabo Verde is on the front lines of the existential crisis generated by climate disruptions, as it has faced a severe drought, as well as sea level rise and loss of biodiversity and ecosystems, which present an existential threat to this and many other archipelagos. He added that he has profoundly frustrated by the fact that world leaders are not taking the necessary action and making the investments needed to face this life and death emergency. In the past 5 years, the country has held an Ocean Week every year, and on this coming Monday, Cabo Verde is partnering with the Ocean Race to hold a summit that will feature speakers from all over the world, including the Secretary General. Cabo Verde is hosting leg 1 of the Ocean Race, and Guterres visited the 11 boats participating. The Secretary General lauded the example of Cabo Verde against a backdrop of many political leaders not paying attention to the central issues that threaten humanity. Let's once again take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, the right to know. In our business news today, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen visited the salmon-colored house on an island of Senegal on Saturday. That is one of the most recognized symbols of the horrors of the Atlantic slave trade. It is part of a 10-day trip aimed at rebuilding economic relationships between the United States and Africa.
The building was known as the House of Slaves, from which tens of millions of Africans were shipped across the Atlantic, never to return. Yellen said that Gore and the transatlantic slave trade are not just a part of African history, but rather a part of American history as well. In the US, African slaves and their children contributed to the building of nation's most storied institutions, including White House and Capitol, according to the White House Historical Association. Yellen acknowledged the ongoing ramifications of that brutal past and the survival of many of its victims. Yellen's trip to the island is one that many dignitaries have made, including former US Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and South Africa's Nelson Mandela.
Come on.
In our health news today, Malawi's worst cholera epidemic in decades has sparked massive demand for vaccines, but stocks are reportedly running low. The country's 29 health districts have reported cholera cases since the confirmation of the first case in March 2022. According to local media, citing the spokesperson for the Malawi's health ministry, Adrian Chikumbe, the country has no more cholera vaccines. Malawi secured a tranche of 2.9 million doses from the Gavi-supported global oral cholera vaccine, a stockpile in November. As of January 20th, Malawi's health authorities reported a total of 631 new cases of cholera and 17 new deaths. The cumulative confirmed cases and deaths are reported since the onset of the outbreak stood at 28,132 and 916 respectively. In its daily update, the health ministry urged all Malawians to adhere to preventive and containment measures. Cholera is an acute bacterial diarrheal disease spread via contaminated water and food, which can cause severe dehydration. And in sports today, Uganda Cranes exited yet another Total Energies African Nations Championship tournament, falling 3-1 to Ivory Coast on Sunday night. Ivory Coast and Senegal, who put 3 past Democratic Republic of Congo, advanced into the quarterfinals. Ahomuza with more. That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa. Please do stay tuned.